Do you like long, tedious, monotonous grinds? Do you hate yourself? Do you play Destiny 2? If you answered yes to any of the above things, then I have the Relic weapon for you. Hello and welcome back, Yotes, to the Big Blue Purple channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Zodiac weapon from A Realm Reborn. As of yesterday, I completed my second Relic weapon from A Realm Reborn, being the Ragnarok Zeta for Warrior, and it sparked something in me. I want to talk about this quest, I want to break it down. Keep in mind this isn't a guide of any sort, but rather a commentary of how I felt getting my two Zodiac weapons. If you're interested in getting one of these relics for yourself, hopefully this video will give a decent rundown on what to expect throughout the questline. I hope you enjoy the unsync dungeon gameplay in the background, as you'll sure be doing a hell of a lot of this for the Realm Reborn Zodiac weapon. The Zodiac Relic weapon grind is divided into 7 distinct parts, the first of which in my opinion would be the easiest step. You just have to buy a certain weapon off the market board and put a materia in it, and then run like 3 trials in a dungeon, and you're pretty much done. You also have to pick up some poetic items, but they're pretty cheap. Either way, this step takes like an hour tops if you're being slow, so don't worry about it too much. Good news for all my masochists out there though, because now you're just through the best of it and it's only fucking downhill from here. The Atma step is the next step of your relic weapon quest. The Atma step involves you collecting 12 different Atma crystal thingies around the world. These drop from fates in specific zones. Okay, so I just have to go do 12 fates in 12 different zones to get the 12 Atma, right? Well, kind of, but it's an RNG drop. Somewhere around 25% if I'm not mistaken. These Atma fuckers are random, okay? You'll run like 20 fates and not get a single one, but then you'll move to the next zone and get the one you need from there from the first fate. Honestly, this step isn't that bad. Just throw some YouTube on, listen to some music, fucking just do some fates, and eventually you'll be done with it. Honestly, this step should only take you around an hour or 2, depending on your luck. If you get really unlucky, maybe it'll take 3, but can't see it taking any longer than that. Anyways, we've got 12 Atma now. What do we do with them? Well, you take them to Jalzahn, and he changes your weapon into a non-glowy weapon. So naturally, you're gonna want to get the glow back. How do we go about getting the glow back? Well, you need to do 9 books. You may be saying, 9 books? Well, surely that can't be too bad, right? Well, each book requires you to kill 9 different types of enemies, complete 3 specific dungeons, 3 specific fates, and 3 specific leave quests. You need to complete 9 of these books. This is the meat of the Relic Weapon quest, really the longest segment of it. You will be spending most of your time on book step as it is just incredibly long and tedious. Easily the worst part of these books are the fates. The problem with the fates is that you need specific ones. If you played this game for any amount of time, you would know why that's an issue. The fate you need might not be up at the time, and there's no tracker to tell when it will be up. So you end up just sitting there waiting. This is why you need to fill your other objectives in the book between fates. The goal here is to constantly be doing something for the book, and checking if the fates are up in between. Usually, if you get decent luck, you'll be done all the fates before you're done everything else for the book, and you won't have to worry about them. But sometimes you won't be so fortunate, and you will end up with 1 or 2 fates left in the book as your final objective. My recommendation for these is to just world hop until you can hopefully find it. Sometimes you'll get as unlucky as I did and world hop to every other server on your data center, and it won't even be up on any of them. So at that point, just go make some food, come back, and pray that the fate is there. Now, the fates may be the worst part of this, but that's not even taking into consideration all of the other shit you have to do for the book. The leave quests in particular annoy me. The problem with the leave quests is they take leave allowances. If you're a crafter like myself, you probably like your leave allowances, and you probably use them to make guild. Because you need to do 9 books, you'll have to do an absolute minimum of 27 leave quests to complete this step. Unfortunately, you'll have to do a lot more than 27 leave quests, because if the leave you need isn't up, you'll have to do another one to make it show up on the vendor. This ends up making it around 4 or 5 leave quests per book as opposed to 3. If you're someone who isn't capped on leave allowances, or is kind of low on them, or uses them for some other shit, then you're gonna hate this, because you need to wait several days just for your leave allowances to come back so you can complete this step of the quest. This happened to me on my first relic weapon, however for the second one, I came in prepared with all my leave allowances. As for the dungeons and the enemies, they're whatever. I mean, going around and finding these specific enemies is really annoying. and it makes you really realize that if you could take more than one book at a time, this step would be perfect. I mean, like, come on, you complete the objectives for one book, you get the next book, and then you need to kill enemies in all of the exact same locations as the last one, they just have a slightly different name. Yeah, I think I forgot to mention that earlier too. You can only hold one of these 9 books at a time. That's what makes this step so long and tedious. It's even worse when you've completed book step in the past before, and you see a fate that you're going to need for like your 8th book, but you're on your 4th book, and you just know you can't do shit about it. Either way, enough bitching about book step. Once you've completed your 9 books, you will be rewarded with another glowy weapon, looking significantly cooler than the last one if I do say so myself. The good news is we're through the worst of the Relic quest now. The bad news is it doesn't really get any better from here. So next you'll be tasked with infusing a sphere scroll with 75 materia. This can't just be any materia, it needs to be grade 1, then grade 2, then grade 3, then grade 4, and I believe you could do 11 of each, is how it works. I just looked for whatever is the cheapest. It was spell speed when I was doing it recently, so I made my warrior axe all spell speed and determination. The stats don't matter, assuming you're just doing this for glamour. I don't think anyone is trying to get the best in slot Realm Reborn Relic anymore. So I can just go buy 75 materia off the market board and finish this step in a quick couple minutes, right? Well, no, actually, because you need Alexandrite to put the materia onto the sphere scroll. So, for 75 materia, you will need 75 Alexandrite. So how do we get Alexandrite? To get Alexandrite, you need to go spend poetics on treasure maps. They cost 75 poetics a pop, and you get 5 Alexandrite per treasure map. This is definitely the fastest and most efficient way. It just does cost poetics, so make sure you have some of those. You can also spend allied seals if you do hunts or you do blue mage. Allied seals are pretty easy to come by, so feel free to go buy them with those. Even if you go with the all treasure map route, this should only take about 45 minutes to an hour to just complete all of it and finish the sphere scroll. Definitely nowhere near as bad as the last step, but it is kind of tedious. So with your completed sphere scroll, you are ready to undertake the light farming step. If you like unsinking dungeons, then this is the step for you because you'll be doing a fuck ton of that. Basically, you'll need to charge your weapon with light. It sounds like a fucking Destiny quest, I'm not even finna cap. Anyway, to complete this, the fastest way to do it is to go check Aurum Vale and the Tomtara Deepcroft. These 2 dungeons are extremely short, the shortest in the game in fact, and if they're giving a bonus light, I believe it'll say a blinding light, that means you're getting 100 points per run. If you're getting 100 points per run, that means you'll only have to do 20 runs. The idea here is that you need 2,000 light points to fully charge your weapon, and bonus light dungeons give you around 100 points. I think it's actually like 96, so you have to do 21 dungeons instead of 20 or whatever. Either way, this step can be grinded out in about an hour and a half if you have the dedication to just sit there and run the same dungeon over and over again, and if you find a dungeon with bonus light. Wow, so we've charged our weapon with light now. Surely we're almost done, right? Right? Well, not exactly. Next, you need to do 4 repeatable quests, okay? So 4 repeatable quests, you may ask. Oh, I've done the Heaven's Ward Relic. Well, you want me to go do leveling roulette 3 times? No problem. Well, no, not quite. For these repeatable quests, you're going to need to spend around 1 million gil total to complete all 4 of them. Each one of these quests will require you to get a specific vendor item that costs 100k, so you'll need to spend 400k total on those. It'll need you to get 8 different high-quality crafted master recipe materials. If you're a crafter, you can make these yourself, but you have to desynthesize shit to get the materials for it. I just recommend buying these off the market board. It'll probably cost you around 600k total to get your full relic if you just buy everything. But that's not all. You're also going to need to spend 800 poetics on 4 things of sacred spring water from the poetic vendor, and you also need 80,000 Grand Company seals so you can buy 4 Bombard cores, 1 for each of these quests. This is easily the most expensive step in so many ways. You need seals, you need poetics, you need a shit ton of gil, but eventually you will get it done. That's not to mention that you will have to run pretty much every level 50 dungeon in the game for these repeatable quests to go get quote-unquote Zodiac materials. The good thing about these is you don't actually have to run the dungeons on the class you're getting the relic for. So when I was doing my warrior relic and I was only level 72, it was better for me to run the dungeons on my level 90 samurai because I could finish the dungeon pretty much instantly. So you've finally done it. You've spent all your seals, your gil, your poetics, and you've completed your 150 dungeons that you have to complete. And you're finally ready for the final step of the Zodiac weapon. So the good news here is that this last step is probably the easiest step, or tied for the easiest step with the very first step of the relic. Those 12 Atma you collected way back when are important again now, as they are Mahatma, and you need to charge each of them with light from this vendor Remun here. This is basically just book step and light step combined into one, but much quicker than both of them. Basically, same idea, run Aurum Vale and Tamtara Deepcroft to see if either of those are giving bonus light. If they are, you are all set. The Mahatmas will complete instantly if a dungeon is giving bonus light, so you'll only need to do 12 dungeons. If you can't find the bonus light, the next best thing you could do is Ifrit Normal 120 times. Yeah, this might sound completely absurd, but Ifrit only takes about a second to kill when you get in there, so if you have a decent SSD and fast load times, it's 10 Ifrit kills per Mahatma, and each Ifrit kill will take a couple seconds with your loading times considered. For some people, this might actually just be the fastest way to do it, even compared to Tamtara Deepcroft and Aurum Vale. Even though this step is like really easy and one of the quickest ones, I always hate getting to it because I'm just so impatient at this point and want my goddamn relic. Either way, it is somewhat of a victory lap as they call it, but I wouldn't say as much so as the Heavensward one where you just go run 10 trials and you're done. But with your 12 Mahatma completed, you can go back to Jalzahn and complete your Zodiac weapon. So if you're interested in getting a Zodiac weapon in 2022, I hope this video gave a decent rundown of what you can expect throughout the questline. I did leave out some specifics, as this isn't a guide, but rather just me bitching about the whole process because of how annoying it is. Either way, if you're looking for a long, tedious grind that's going to eat up a bunch of your time, but you also want a really fucking cool weapon, this is the way to go. I really do believe that most of the Realm Reborn relics are the best for their respective classes, especially with Warrior, Ninja, and Dragoon. I really like those ones. Either way, I think it'll be quite a long time before I go for a third one, if ever. I just need a break from this shit. It is so unbelievably tedious, and if you hate yourself enough, you can actually complete this in 3 days, pretty much. I was already on book step when I started, so maybe 4 days if you want to count the first 2 steps as their own day, but I was able to complete the Warrior one in about 3 days starting from book step. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that shit, and I'll catch you in the next one. Now get out there and farm yourself a Zodiac weapon.